Hello and welcome back to the Getting Down to Business podcast. Today we're lucky to be joined by Claire, who's from Horton Housing, who does the Homeless Outreach Programme. Welcome, Claire. Thank you so much for joining us. What is your role and how important is it? What is the important work? What kind of things does it involve?
So in 2019, the Bradford HOP, which stands for the Bradford Homeless Outreach Partnership, was developed by Bradford Council through government, MHCLG, and it was to reduce the rough sleeping in Bradford city centre and also across the UK. So every single city has had money that they've been able to tender for, to be able to go through and work with their rough sleepers in a different kind of way. So Bradford Council came up with the idea that what they'd like to do is get a load of different partners together to be able to break down any barriers that the rough sleepers face. The HOP was designed through different agencies and different partnerships that were already established in the Bradford City Centre and had like a good reputation around Bradford. So myself, I'm from Horton Housing. I've got experience of managing supported accommodation through Horton for quite a few years. I think I've been with them for about 9 years now. We've got my colleague Becky. She's from CGL, which is the Drug and Alcohol Service in Bradford. And her role is a specialist drug and alcohol worker. So she goes around working with clients to be able to get them back on script if they're not on script, with the aim really to reduce any sort of criminal activity within the city centre, etc. She also works as well to do days of action around the city centre. So we haven't done one in a while due to COVID. I think just before COVID we were arranging to do maybe a clean up of problem areas within the city, so needles and stuff like that, paraphernalia, because obviously I know that the businesses around Bradford, and they do come, obviously it's not great for them. I've got a specialist, not a specialist, I've got a multiple complex needs worker from the Bridge Project, which is based on Salem Street, and he works with people obviously who've got multiple complex needs. Majority of our clients have usually got them anyway, and he then feeds into the Housing First project within the Bridge Project. I've got a housing options officer called Law. So obviously Britannia House is where the housing options officers are usually based, and clients would have to go down there if they were sort of experiencing homelessness. But she'll do housing options assessments with those clients on the streets. And I've also got 4 street outreach workers. So they're really the foot soldiers. They're the ones that do the hard work, the hard graft. They're out there, day and night working to locate rough sleepers in and around the city centre, but also externally. So we cover the whole Bradford district, which obviously, as you know, is really large. We do focus a lot on the city centre because they're more visible and there's a lot more intelligence people because of the police, the public, the businesses that we work with in the city centre all identify people and are able to feed into us from that. So yeah, we're really designed to break down all barriers. So if we find somebody who's street homeless, working like sleeping in the streets, in doorways, in tents, in any sort of like camps that they've made up, our aim is to be able to go out, give them a housing options assessment, because they may not want to go down to Britannia House because they may not want to come into the city centre. So by being able to take that service to them, it breaks down that barrier. If they've got any drug or alcohol issues, then Becky can work with them to deal with any issues that they've got around that and get them into service quite quickly. Our multiple complex needs worker then can work with them on any other issues that they've got. And we've also got, I can't believe I forgot this, but I've got a paramedic as well from Bevan Healthcare who's also based in the city centre. So that's obviously the partnership working with her is to be able to deal with any physical health issues as well as mental health issues. So the whole package of the team should, in most cases, be able to provide all of that wraparound support that individual needs at that time. And our aim then is to get them into accommodation, whether it be through private rented, supported accommodation, hostels, bedsits, whatever they feel that they can manage. We try and take the view with our clients is, asking them what they want and where they want to be. Because quite often in the past, maybe somebody sort of like the street homeless and they sort of like say, well, this is your option, you've got to go into a hostel. And that actually might not be what they want to do. And we try and follow the housing first model, which is if you get somebody a home first and then you can provide all the wraparound support within that home, it's got a great chance of succeeding, because the person's in an area that they want to be. Maybe it's their peers, family, friends of an area that they want to be in, or actually in an area where they don't have any of that because they want to make a fresh start. As long as they've got that wraparound support then to be able to help them maintain and sustain that tenancy, we've got a really good track record of that happening. So yeah, so that's what we do in a nutshell.
Great. There are so many different partners sort of so heavily involved, and like you say, hopefully that sort of covers all bases. I'm sure obviously you have your day-to-day challenges, and I'm sure there's those who, you know, you do struggle to get the help. They either don't want it, or but what sort of challenges do you and your team face? And I assume it's a case where you will sort of keep trying with that person and it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, so I mean, the challenges we face, maybe if somebody's we've accommodated them, they've been evicted for whatever reason. It could be an illegal eviction, it could be down to you know, people taking over their property and sort of cocooning them. It could be due to their behaviour because they've not got the right mental health, or substance misuse sort of like support in place, or the disengaged with services a little bit too soon and stuff like that. So if we place somebody in accommodation and it fails, we've got the ethos of never giving up. So if that placement didn't work, if that home didn't work for them, then we look at something else, what will work for them. I'm a firm believer that there is somewhere out there for everybody, as long as they're ready to take that opportunity. So we could find someone tomorrow and put them into a hostel accommodation because that's what they wanted and that's where they want to go, but they might not actually be quite ready for that. So if they're not ready, and they're not ready at that time, and they're not ready to take that opportunity, then that's fine, because that's their life and that's up to them. But we're always there as a safety net to then work with them again and continue to work to find something else. And maybe a year down the line, 6 months down the line, even 6 days down the line, we might get that perfect place where they want to be at that right time in their life to make it a success for them.
Oh, that's brilliant. So from our business's point of view and the public as well, obviously, you know, I mean, we get reports of the bid as well, that, you know, there's homeless people outside the businesses, or there's somebody that's really struggling and they don't really know how to go about helping them or what the best course of action is. What is your advice sort of to our businesses and to the public in general of what is the best way to help somebody who is homeless?
Well, the Bradford Hop has forged an absolutely amazing partnership with the City Centre Police Force. It's so strong and it is so successful and it works really, really well. And now I'm able to give you my details, my email address and the whole team's telephone numbers, because we have an email address that goes to the whole team as well, so it's never missed. Right. So I'm quite happy to give that out for you to give out the businesses so they can contact you on our email. But alternatively, to speak to the local PCSOs and the local bobbies in the city centre, because they all know us. So if they're concerned about someone, I mean, the likelihood is if there's a business or a member of the public that's concerned about anyone in the city centre, the police are probably aware of them anyway and are probably let us know. Yeah, like I said, the relationship between us and the police is a partnership that's forged and just strengthened over the last few years. And we're pretty much quite clued up of who's out there. I mean, I'd like, hopefully for the businesses who may, you know, listen to this podcast, I'd like to think that they've seen an improvement in the city centre with regards to rough sleep. It's never going to, I think the aim of the government is to end it by 2027, which I think is amazing. However, I think that realistically, you're always going to have somebody who wants to choose to sleep on the streets. So whilst they've got this obviously pledge in place, which is great, there's going to be people who want to be there, but us as a team, as long as we're around, you know, we will work with them. We do work with people on the streets. We've worked with people on the streets for months and months and months. Pre-COVID, COVID were different. It was like a total different world. But pre-COVID, we were working with people on the streets who'd been there for years and years and years and years, and they didn't want to go into accommodation. But the most entrenched rough sleepers now have actually got accommodation. We've worked with them intensively, consistently throughout the last however many years and got them into their own accommodation. That's not to say that they won't come back. But yeah, I'd like to think that there is a drastic improvement in the city centre, and especially the arches. We're very we're very good on the arches, so we are aware that tents appear, but we're very quick to get straight down there and work out who it is, you know, what other options, and move them, and then you know, work with the council to remove any debris or any, you know, rubbish that don't need to be there. So yes, I suppose the business, the public, you can contact StreetLink as well, which I'll send you the details. I'm more than happy to send all our details out to people.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, you're doing absolutely amazing work. It is amazing, and especially with all the partners that are coming together to make a real difference. So thank you very much for all the work that you are doing, and I will put those details out for our businesses as well, and like to get in touch. So thank you very much. Thank you, Claire.
Yeah, thank you. We're really fortunate because we've just the government have just released funding for the next 3 years, so we're hoping that for the next 3 years that we're still going to be around as in the format that we are. So we should hear in the next few months if we are. We've got a strong feeling that we will, because the Bradford Council have identified it's a service that's needed.
Oh, definitely, absolutely, it's vital. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Please do join us again for the next episode on Getting Down to Business podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.